6 o'clock, I'll call the December 2025 meeting of the Pendleton Town Council to order. We'll pause for a moment of silent reflection. We'll rise and do the national anthem. We pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Billy, will you lead us in a roll call?
Be glad to. Mr. Steve Denny.
Here.
Shane Davis.
Here.
Jerry Burmeister.
Here.
Ryan Williams.
Here.
Marissa Skaggs.
Here, 5 out of 5 members, we have constituted, we have a quorum. In the Google Drive, we have a copy of the November meeting minutes. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, or corrections regarding those? If there aren't any, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the November 2025 meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes have been approved. Moving on to the clerk treasurer's report.
Okay, if you'll look at the voucher, you'll see we spend about the normal amount of money. And I don't think there's anything in there that we need to talk about, but also the general fund's in good shape. But like to have a little more in there, keep 2 or 3 months ahead, so we're in good shape. So that's all I've got.
Any questions for Willie regarding the clerk treasurer's report or the claims as they were presented to us? If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the claims.
So moved.
I have a motion by
Second.
second. I have a motion and a second for approval of the claims as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to department reports, we'll start with the police.
Good evening. A couple of quick little things. We had a police commissioner meeting on the 4th of November. During that meeting, we discussed our policies and procedures that we'd updated and rolled out to the guys. And also approved the hiring of Kyle Smith. He'll be getting sworn in on Monday and start his first day then as well. So we're excited to get Kyle to start at the PD. It'll be Monday at 5 up at the PD. Christmas in Pendleton went off without a hitch. I did like the little bit of that 30-minute being a little later, so the lights show up a little bit better. So I like that. And I just wanted to point out, a lot of people may not have known that Police Chief Alton Bud Wall passed away this last month. And Bud was a past marshal here in Pendleton back in 72, 73, and then he was promoted to chief and did a 4-year stint, 1973 to 77. Bud was always a good guy and a Pendleton resident here. They lived on Broadway. And then in his later years, he lived down US 36, but Bud was good people. So I just wanted to shine some light on that. 1,508 dispatch recorded incidents for the month, 37 crash investigations, 44 criminal arrests divided among 22 different adults, 1 juvenile arrest. We just recently made arrests in the vandalism to the bathroom. So I don't know if that made the chatter yet, but we did make an arrest. There's 2 individuals that'll be charged with that. Hopefully we'll get some money back to the park for damages. 86 traffic citations, 24 warnings. Dina's working great in the front office. Make note that Connie, after say 1980, I believe is when she started at the Madison County Sheriff's Department, recently resigned this year. So she's retired now and doing great. But how many years is that? 45. So yeah, kudos to Connie, and Dina's doing great. That's it.
Any questions for Mark?
Juvenile arrest on the bathroom damage or adult?
2 juvenile. Yep, luckily they videotaped the whole thing for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the park, Sherry.
Good evening. I just go over a few things for my report.
Hey, Sherry, just, is that mic on? Can you push the thing so it turns orange? Thanks.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
The Fall Creek Golf Club, this time of year, we're a little bit slow in there, but we have some simulator action going on over there. We've partnered with W Athletics to do a 2-man golf simulator league, and we're excited about that. We have 19 leagues going right now. And it looks like 3 preseason rounds in December, 8 flight rounds in January and February, which will keep that area a little active through these colder months. And we're excited to see what comes of that, even over time. I'm working with Cal Wilson on that as well. And I know you're a part of the league. Anybody else in here part of that Winter League? I haven't played on the simulator yet, but I'm excited to do so. So, other than that, Donnie and crew are staying busy with maintenance of equipment this time of year, kind of cleaning up shop and getting things organized, going through our equipment and just capital planning right now. Weather conditions, we're keeping an eye on that, and that always is very consuming on certain times of the year. So we're keeping a close eye on the sidewalks and making sure everything is salted and cleaned up. As far as the park, I don't know if anybody has had a chance to drive through it, but it looks very pretty, lit up this time of year. So again, issues and concerns is vandalism. It still remains a concern even in this cold weather. We've had some lights that were destroyed and our big Santa was slashed. So we're just working on that, and again, just trying to stay aware of where those are occurring and maybe add more cameras where we can. This time of year, we're reviewing our leases for the sports complex. We have several partners we work with that in different groups. And so it's been really nice for me because I don't know a lot of those groups yet. And so meeting with them, building relationships with those different teams. And upcoming events, I'll just mention the first day hike, January 1st, 10 a.m. Meet me at the park office if you'd like to go for a 40-minute hike in the woods. And then we'll have some hot chocolate and some muffins, thanks to our friends group. Any questions or concerns for the park?
It looks great right now. Awesome. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Planning department. We have Connor.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I just have a few slides to talk about. The first one is the US 36 reroute study that we're going with CDM Smith right now. They submitted the current conditions report for us to review internally earlier this week. So we're working on that at the moment. Some of the things they analyze in this include traffic volumes, safety operations, crash analysis, utilities that are existing in the area, and then also obstacles, environmental, wetlands, any red flags in the area. Something to note is that crashes are on a slight decline since 2023, but between State Road 67 and State Road 38 and Water Street, the volume is still up. The volume is still pretty high in crashes right there. And the peak hours of those are between 7 and 8 and 4 and 6. So you're pretty typical high traffic times. Nothing life threatening, but again, that's still a large volume of accidents during those hours. In this current conditions report, they've also looked at aligning the vision and goals of enhancing safety, increasing multimodal transportation, and then also reflecting the character of the town, as well as aligning with and responding to regional and state goals when it comes to transportation in this area. And some of the next steps, currently CDM Smith is working on the alternatives analysis. And they're going to present 4 alternatives to us for relocating US 36 and also cost allocation. And they're also drafting an evaluation matrix for that so we can actually effectively measure the alternatives between each other. And then our next steering committee meeting will take place in February, and we're going to review the current conditions report. And then also, as they finalize those alternatives analysis, we'll review that and then discuss with the steering committee. The next slide is about the business park trail. Major news to report here is that our purchase order was set to expire at the end of this year. And working with MCOG and NDOT, they extended our purchase order through 2026. So this project is still a go. That's basically working on our environmental analysis and the impact of those reviews, and that should be finished by fall 2026. The good thing here is that Banning already has the subcontractors in place to do this work, so work will continue to flow steadily through next year. And then lastly, I know we discussed this last month. We applied for a bike and pedestrian master plan grant. Unfortunately, we were not selected for that grant. There were 19 applicants, only 4 were selected. We were in the top half of that. We ranked 8th according to their scoring matrix. And there were some things we did really well on, clearly indicated that we're ready to do these things. Being a part of DNR's visionary trail system, especially interlinking all throughout Madison County. But some things that hurt our score were that we were already previously funded through this grant, especially when it comes to something that is only, they only have enough funding for 4. So when you already got the money before, it kind of makes it hard to stand out compared to others. But I will say on another note, some good news, they do have another grant opportunity opening up at the end of the year. And that will be for a tactical urbanism demonstration. So that would be something like a temporary crosswalk or a temporary bike lane that could be installed and put into place. And then we could test and measure the effectiveness of that. And that would be a $10,000 grant. So we're looking forward to applying to that when that opens up. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Anything for Connor? No, thank you, Connor.
I have something.
Oh.
Not for comment. He mentioned the crashes. And I just want to point out, there are a lot of rear end crashes through there, but it's the wave throughs. That's the major issue in that area.
Yeah,
We're too polite in Indiana, and people forget about that other travel lane. So
human error will mess up even a four-way
spread
stop. Something
that
to
to
the
people.
effect.
Yeah, spread that around, not to wave people.
Don't wave people through, exactly. Thank you. Denise?
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm gonna go off the grid just a little bit before I go on my slides here. I just want to give a shout out to a couple of the people on our team. We've had a very heavy year with planning documents. We've put out a lot of improvements to our standards and so forth that would help correlate with the high quality standards that we want for our community. There's been a lot of work with that, but then at the same time, there's been a lot of development going on. If you see what's going on there, I-69 in that corridor, we've got there on the west side, 69 with Baker's Point. We also have the east side, even from the driving out there today and work with the crew, a road closure, water access needs to the south, as well as even cable improvements. So we've got a lot going on, and I just want to give a shout out. Hannah Rose, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts. There's a lot of back and forth things. So that takes a lot of time and coordination. So really appreciate her efforts on that. She couldn't be here with us tonight. But I also want to express our appreciation for Connor. He's been a great asset to the team. Going forward in 2026, we are right now in review of our community development coordinator position. We are looking forward to getting that fulfilled here probably mid-January, hopefully at the end of January at the latest. But we've got some really strong candidates, so I'm really excited for 2026 and the outlook that we have here for our team. So. First project here that I have is the Road Impact Zone Improvement Plan. It's going along well. They've been collecting all their data that they had and summarizing all those here the past few months. So they have their existing conditions evaluation complete. They are finalizing that draft for us. We're going to be taking a look at that over the course of the next couple of weeks. Our next steering committee is on the January the 15th. So we'll bring the crew to be able to go over those findings. But between now and then, our department is working with the group there, A&F, and we're providing them comprehensive plan, which was perfect timing with this impact review study. So that will help us to be able to know that we are in line with the community's needs or wishes, the projected growth, and those areas of growth. So what we'll do is we'll take those findings, we'll couple that kind of with the goals and objectives of our community, and then we will then use that information to formulate and identify those road projects that will be a part of that next replacement plan. So we're looking forward to getting that going here the first of the year. We are still on target, probably around April, to be able to have our ordinance and plan presented to your body for adoption. We have a couple of months of cushion, so we do need to make sure that we have that fully adopted and ready to go by June, so there's no gap in our program. So, looking forward to working with A&F and seeing what those findings are here this next year. The next one is our pavement asset management plan that was due on the 1st to LTAP. That is the body that confirms that our inventory is accurate. We had a little bit of a change. They had some changes in their the way that they collect their data. There are some areas that seem a little bit insignificant. We were able to, or we just kind of put in that they were 0 mileage. We can't do that anymore. And the good news is that in identifying those areas, there was a miscalculation on one of our roadways. So that bumped it up to 50 miles of certified road mileage. That will then increase. We have all of our approved roadways that we just approved here the last couple months. We now have the approved meeting minutes. We've got that paperwork ready to go. That's going to be submitted to NDOT, and that's going to gain another 3.5 miles in certified road mileage. So that has been approved as the 2nd of December. We have our certificate. That means that we are then qualified. That meets one of the standards for our community crossings grant application. Falls Park Drive Reconstruction Project. That is our Community Crossings 2026. Unfortunately, we also found unfortunate news that we were not awarded this grant. This was where we're going to have stormwater improvements, safety, crosswalk improvements, as well as pavement enhancements from on Falls Park Drive from North Pendleton Avenue all the way then to just west of the bridge there on Huntsville Drive or Huntsville Road. The application process we knew was going to be very competitive. It was a lot more competitive than what we even anticipated. With their delay and then going to a year process, we knew that some, like us, we were going to apply for the 25-2 round in July of this year. That was put on freeze. Then we applied then in October. They came back and they sent us a letter letting us know we did not get it selected. However, they are highly encouraging us to apply then for our 26 application, which it's called the 27 year. That will be take place in July of 26. There were 450 applications seeking $237 million in road improvement. They had $100 million to spread across the state of Indiana. 50 million of that went to Greater Indianapolis. So basically the rest of the state had $50 million to share. So there was about 191 counties, towns, communities that did get the award this time around. We were very disappointed. We were looking forward to be able to make those needed improvements with Falls Park Drive. We intend to continue to do that, and then we will then apply and work with Banning again to reapply. We are going to see if we can kind of find some criteria. They just released the communities that did receive the award, but they haven't released any indication of kind of what was the tone and what was those priorities that went into making those assessments. So once we get that information, then we'll kind of reassess and see where we're at for next year. So.
Well, with that being said, Denise, Scott, does that mean we will not be replacing a culvert?
No, we're just gonna bump the project for the next application. And then we may, because our project was $1 million, and you can imagine that for $1 million project, it was easier to give it to a $100,000 project, that way they had more awardees. So we may split the project up just so it's not such a big award, but that's to be determined based on the feedback we start to hear, whether that's the strategy to take or not. And then, of course, there's that other fund that we can tap into.
Yeah, so next year we did apply for our wheel tax. So hopefully that will be approved, that then we can tap into then that additional pot of funds, which would be an additional $50 million. So hopefully that will be able to, one way or the other, or a combination thereof, will be able to get into that round. Scott is right. I kind of took an analysis, a look at what those size dollars, it was about an average of $450,000 projects across the board. There was only, I think, 20 that were maybe $800,000 to $900,000 in size, and there was only 18 that were $1 million. And those were a lot of the counties or those larger cities that received those dollars. So when we came in with $1 million project for one roadway, that, I do agree with Scott that they probably tried to get a lot of those lower, smaller projects from those communities out to be able to get as many communities touched as possible this round.
So does that, Scott, does that delay the paving? I mean, some of them roads are pretty bad through there, a lot of potholes and a lot. Ask me about that.
Yeah. It would, if we,
If we were to pick, what would we do first? we would definitely do the paving and the improvements in that area, because the culvert can probably survive,
Right.
you know, a few more years, but now is the time to do it while everything was tore up. So that's one thing. And then the second project that we're gonna apply for, as you know, is the traffic signals down here.
Yes, sir.
So in the meantime, we went ahead and we're gonna have temporary, they've already started the work. It just doesn't look like it. They've been working inside the signal box. That's to put in the scramble lights that you,
Can you turn your mic on?
oh, I'm sorry. So even though it feels like we've got shut down on funding, we're continuing to do some things to solve those problems. So,
We also talked to, I know that there are some areas that probably need some heavy patching and so forth, improvements, and maybe taking some blocks and those sections out, and whether we don't talk about cement, other applications to be able to get us through, because it is such a highly trafficked road with all the programs there through the park and so forth, and especially the fact that we're going to have to go through another winter. Probably this spring, we're going to have to kind of reassess that and get some temporary treatments until we can get a full-blown project out.
Yeah, this side of the bridge is the bad spots. And you and I have talked, about, we're trying to wait till but now we're not gonna get the culvert, do all that.
yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So last year I have is Tree Campus K-12 program. So this is a pretty extensive, a lot of work that goes into this. So what it requires through to receive recognition from the Arbor Day Foundation, you got to build a campus team. That is a partnership between our Urban Forestry Committee as well as the schools. And then also you got to develop a pretty involved education plan. So you've got to outline from all your activities, what goes into it, the materials, you got to show proof, pictures of it, whether it's social media, photos and so forth. Your hands-on experience, they have to have something that they're either planting a tree or they are trimming a tree. They're doing some inventory analysis of the trees on their campus. And then the last one is they have to do an activity that celebrates Arbor Day. So it is a year-long process. And so it goes from your fall to your spring, the end of your school year, you apply. And I know that we've talked about this before, but the school had been recognized last year. So our Pendleton Elementary here off East Street, their intermediate building, we work with the 4th through 6th graders, and they earned recognition for 24 through 25. We are going to be celebrating that with them this coming Wednesday, the 17th. It's such an honor, and did just find out from Arbor Day, we only have 4 in the state of Indiana. So they were the 4th one that just got added. It's been really contagious, and really excited that our middle school, Melanie McCarty, she has already started doing it for this year. So next year we should have 2 out of our school campuses that will have this recognition that is nationwide. So we're very, very excited to meet with 300 students next week. And we'll be meeting with them in the gym and giving them a big kudos for all their hard work. So this picture here was just a summary of kind of the highlights that kind of go into that program, from the Arbor Day poster contest to some of the other programs. One of the big highlights of this year for us was that bringing back STEM Day at the park. So that was a really cool day there for the 5th grade. So it shows there that the plaque that they just received here about 6 weeks ago that they have posted there, and they also received a flag. So we just wanted to give recognition to them and their hard work. Well, that's all I have.
Awesome.
Thanks, Denise.
Okay, no old business. We'll move on to new business. The first item is item A, resolution 2025.
Oh,
Sorry, I skipped Scott. Oops, sorry. Well, we're talking during Denise's, and I was like, oh, Scott's done.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay, if we just go to the pictures. Yeah, let's go to the pictures. Where they go? Okay. So, the McCarty drain, this is what they're boring underneath the railroad. You can see it there at the top. This is behind the MVets. So I thought I'd show you this first. This, you can tell it's quite extensive. It's like drilling for oil sideways. And, we've had trouble with CSX giving us time windows to be able to do the work. We just got word we have to pull off and wait until January. Nothing that our contractor did wrong, nothing the town did wrong. they just simply don't have, there has to be a CSX person on site called a flagman, and they're down 50% in their staff. They felt that because the guys had hit harder ground than was expected, that is one section, about half a section of pipe. It takes 3 hours to move 20 feet. And we've got to move 100 feet. They really just started on Wednesday. And CSX felt that we weren't moving fast enough, not our fault. It's just what ground we have to bore through. And so this project won't really start up until January. It's unfortunate because we had to, if you remember, we had to dewater the site. So we'll turn off the pumps. 2 weeks before the next window, we'll start pumping the water out again and keep the water table down low. So that's what's happening there. It's sort of out of sight because it's behind the AMVETS. But if you ever want to go get your feet muddy, it's an interesting thing to go look at when they're working. And then the next slide. Couple of things on my talking points. One, we've had quite a few water main breaks. We think a lot of them are construction related with what's happening on Elm Street. Water hammer happens a lot when there's construction sites, especially when they're shutting it off to hook up new water lines there at Elm Street. But the saving grace has been our new vac truck. They had a water main break just the other day on Pendleton Avenue down by the house I grew up in. And what they said would have taken them 4 hours, they were able to do in an hour and a half because of the vac truck. So the guys are really happy, especially in this cold weather. They can get in and get out a lot faster than they used to be able to do. If you can scroll back up to my talking points. We're not going to do any more leaf pickup as a routine. The leaves are frozen to the ground. If there's still a pile out there, as you can imagine, and plus with the freeze thaw cycle, the leaves are pretty wet, and that the leaf truck has a hard time picking up anything that's hard and compacted. I got to give compliments to Ricky. He is a scientist when it comes to plowing. The last ice and snow heavy mix that we had, if you went around to the other towns and communities in the county, you would distinctly see that Ricky knows what he's doing. And there's so many variables that he has to look into. It's more than what you think. It's what's the ground temperature? Are we gonna have ice? And if we have ice and we put down salt and the snow's coming right after it, all we're doing is plowing up snow. What's the forecast? Is it gonna melt anyway? And just not knowing exactly how accurate the weathermen are. We got hit 2 hours, 2.5 hours, if you remember, earlier than we thought. And so he's been doing this for so long. I think we hit the right mix. And his thing that he keeps teaching me is that Scott, when we have ice and then snow on top of it, we're not as big Zamboni machine and going out there and polishing the ice by plowing the snow. Let the snow do its little destructive thing with the ice and get away. It gets away from the slickness of that top layer of ice. So we did it right. I mean, he played it just perfect, and so we're lucky to have him. We have, though, having said that, we have gone through quite a bit of ice or salt already because of some of the ice. Just remember our priorities when we get hit. Generally, if we plow while it's snowing heavy, it's just to keep the main drags open. Police and fire priority, and just the high traffic areas. And then once the snow stops, then we'll hit the side streets. Once the side streets are done, then we hit the subdivisions. The only time they'll put down salt in subdivisions and the side streets, because those are lower speed streets, is if we're really in a true ice storm situation. So I'm sure as board members, you get questions on that. So just a reminder on how we set our priorities. And we tend to, more than other communities, start to plow while it's snowing just because of police and fire response. I mean, the big fire station's right here, right? And they got to get out. So let's go on to the next slides. Elm Street, Main Street, they're cutting into Pendleton Avenue right there. Underneath Pendleton Avenue is where the water lines are that they're tapping into. We're replacing the old line on Elm Street. A lot of the things under there, remember, are 100-year-old water lines. We've had a lot of problems. In fact, they had a water line break just 5 minutes before we started the meeting. And the guys were already out there working on it. They've jumped on top of it. I gotta give False Perk my gratitude. They have been so patient with us. We've had to reroute their drive-through around the construction, and they've been very understanding. And of course, they're looking forward to how pretty Elm Street will look when that's all done. So anyway, that's what's going on now. We probably, just so you know, we'll probably have to extend the closure of Pelton Avenue, that probably Tuesday, but we'll advertise Wednesday, just in case more surprises happen. Next project. North Heritage Waste. We left that slide in there. That's done for now, that phase, except for the striping. Next one, McCarty Drain. I talked about what's happening with that when we talked about the photo. And then the next thing is, we'll talk about one of the new business items is the your approval of parcel number 3 on this project. Next slide, please. And these are just the reminder of the red hash marks are the properties where we are buying right away. Next. And then the Ledler service line, this is federally and state mandated. We send out notices to property owners, as we're required to do if they've been identified as either having somewhere in there, either on our side or their side of the meter, lead or galvanized pipe, and or if it's unknown. Letters were required that we send them out. And then the electric longer with our Hammond substation, that project is still under design. We received some more bids. We haven't opened them yet for some components of that Hammond substation. All right, that's all I have.
First spot. The Pendleton limestone strikes again, it sounds like, on the Jack and Boar situation.
Yeah.
So it keeps on giving. Okay, moving on to new business, resolution 2025-19 additional appropriations. These have been published with notice in the newspapers with the required state guidelines for that. Do we have to open a public hearing for additional appropriations, Rob? Okay. Karen and Willie, anything you'd like to add about the additional appropriations?
I'll tell you, I made it as thin as possible,
I know, yeah.
and we're gonna cut it close in Park. We're gonna cut it close in MD. H,
Yeah.
tell them it'll be close.
So there they are. At this point, I'll open the public hearing and entertain any public comment regarding these appropriations. Okay, without any public comment, I will close the public hearing. And I will, I'll wait for Jerry for just a second before we entertain a motion for approval. This is one of those things that every year at this time of year, we're good, but we're not that good at estimating our budgets. And so it's necessary to do these additional appropriations. If the money is not in the specified funds, we can't spend it. So that's why we have to do this every year. So it's one of those things. That's why we're meeting 3 times in the month of December. So without any other further discussion, I'll entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2025-19 additional appropriations.
Make the motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second for approval of resolution 2025-19. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to ordinance 2025-31, various traffic signals or signs, sorry. Scott, I'll let you talk about this.
So all we're doing is improving and adding to the criteria for where people can't park. the old ordinance had just a short list. Those things are included now in Exhibit A and then expanded upon. So it's pretty simple like that. In some ways, it's a catch-all too.
Any questions regarding ordinance 2025-31 and the traffic signs and the restrictions on parking? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for first read.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of first read of ordinance 2025-31. That's it. I don't have to vote anymore. It's so foreign to me. I've got it down and then changed it. Okay, moving on to ordinance 2025-32, public records requests.
So yeah, this is a fairly straightforward ordinance as well, for the state code, the individual does have the right to request, access to public information. And us as government, we have that responsibility, obligation to provide that. So in 2020, our town had passed a resolution. We kind of clarified, confirmed our processes and so forth as far as those requests and how those are handled. But since 2020, we've seen an increase of individuals, entities that are requesting information for the sole purpose of commercial purposes and gain. So that would be examples of, say, if someone wanted to request information about a particular property, that could be a residential, it can be a business, and they want to take that information then to be able to assist them in either selling that property or advertising that property. Or they can take that information that they gain and then sell it to another entity that would want to do the same. Those things, examples of that, our clerk treasurer's office is seeing is things like your water shutoffs or utilities shut off, unsightly violations and so forth. So we do have by state code that there is an act that helps us to be able to prohibit and to not be able to be under that obligation to be able to provide that information for someone to have some private gain out of that. So this ordinance kind of outlines that for us and allows our clerk's office to be able to identify those and to be able to then deny those requests.
Safeguard our data a little bit. Rob, anything else we need to add to this?
That's exactly what I was gonna ask legal. I mean, are we good with this?
Yeah, this is, follows the statute and it's permissible. It's like a lot of things. We'll just see how it comes into play.
Okay.
I think we'll get feedback from the clerk's office, I'm sure.
For sure. Any other questions regarding ordinance 2532, public records request? Then I'll entertain a motion for approval on first read.
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Shane, you did that right. I have a motion and a second for approval on first read of ordinance 2025-32, public records request. We will see it next month for second read. Okay, moving on to right-of-way acquisition for parcel 3 South Pendleton Avenue. This is what Scott was talking about a few moments ago.
Right, so we're expanding that circuit and we're putting up new poles and we're moving those poles farther from Main Street and from Pendleton Avenue, so it's a 2-for-1. We had to replace the old line, so the old line stays in place, put the new poles in place, they put up the new line, and then they switch. The second benefit is that we're moving the poles back, so any future construction that happens. This is the next parcel that Katie Rep, who does the work for us, has secured the right of way. And it's basically the Fredericks Brothers property, as we all know. And the total on that is $20,175. And all we need is just a verbal approval to accept this.
Any questions for Scott regarding this? If you'll remember, we did 4.
Yeah, we did 3 from it.
4 last week. So this is parcel number 3. Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of right-of-way acquisition of parcel 3 on South Pendleton Avenue, South Main Street. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to our final item of new business, the Pendleton Urban Forestry Annual Report. Denise, and I know we have a few of your board
We have a
members.
few members, if they want to come, I promise you won't have to speak, but, okay.
Dr. Roger,
I've got Jeanette Bell, that is here with us. They have been, great members of our Urban Forestry Committee. In fact, Jeanette has been a member of this committee since its existence in 1993. So we're very, very fortunate to have her experience, and knowledge, throughout. And then Dr. Lau, he does an amazing job of just really adding in a lot of environmental expertise and knowledge that, really has added to our conversation. We also have Carol Hanna. She is the president of Urban Forestry. We have Joe Scott. She's the vice president. We have Carrie Dodd, our secretary. And then we also have our two newest members, and I just really want to express our appreciation of you adding in advisory roles. So we have Loretta Gray and we have Julie Mitchell. They have both been instrumental on this board as well in just input. Our connections and with the school systems have been great with Loretta Gray as well as Julie Mitchell. She is our kind of liaison to the park system. And so she has brought a lot to the program as well. One of the things that Julie Mitchell has been instrumental on is our invasive program. So she has been working with Sherry as well as the Madison County Soil and Water District in our SISMA program. So that's an effort to be able to eliminate all of our invasives in our park system. So we have a group in Hamilton County, I believe, that is kind of shouldering and kind of mentoring this group to be able to have our first SISMA program in Madison County. So we've learned a lot, our urban forestry along the way through those conversations. This is all in your packet here. We won't go into detail, but these are just some really big highlights here that I just wanted to bring out. We already talked about kind of the big program that we added in was the STEM Day. That was those 5 stations that we had with the 5th graders there that we had partnered up with the Muncie Sanitary District. We also had the school that did a program in the creek with analysis as far as water flow. Then we had Andrew Holloway, who is also a park board member, that came in and talked about electrofishing and the species that thrive well in our creek system. We talked about our urban forestry, talked about how you identify trees and how do you care for trees. And then we also had the park master plan, which was perfect timing to be able to gather input from those students. Also, you'll see here in the slide here, as far as our priority that we make as a community. And you can see by the numbers and the effort that goes in, and this is not just our urban forestry. This is our electric department that does a lot of our plant growth management piece. So there's a lot of hands involved that help care for our street trees, our public trees throughout our entire community. So I think that speaks well, and that is an attestment to the reasons why we have been for 15 years now at Tree City USA recognition from Arbor Day. Things going forward in next year, 2 of our biggest things that we're excited about is our 2016 tree management plan. It is advised to be updated every 10 years. So we are right there. We're going to be working with Davey Resource to be able to improve and enhance that plan that talks about our inventory analysis as far as benefits of trees that it provides our community, but it also looks as far as into tree management, care, and maintenance and policy. We have also a goal is to bring in an intern for urban forestry. It is such a specialty as far as expertise and knowledge. And if we can get someone in here for the summer, I've had some conversations with our South Madison Community Foundation, Ball State University, with our connections with Taylor Metz. We're probably going to be able to land some type of partnership to be able to bring someone coming in 6-8 weeks this summer to really look into our new inventory. We have all these new subdivisions that staff, we've not had time to be able to go in and collect that inventory to input that into our software. So we've got a lot of things in as far as even educational pieces too, and with the invasive, we'd like to be able to share that individual with the park system. And I think that would be a great opportunity in addition to our planning department. And then you see here listed here as far as shout outs here, we could not have done all of what this group does without the help of all the community partners and town departments, the electric department, the stormwater, the water department, and the street department. It is amazing how they work together when we have trees that need to be removed. They do a lot of cost savings. So our Craig Switzer, our superintendent, he'll go out and take a look at the tree and see if he and his crew can handle removing that tree. He works with our street department if they can, and then between all those 3 departments, they knock it out without having to go in with our tree corps, which is a higher cost to remove those trees. So they do a great job working with Scott on that. So I just wanted to just express our thanks to you all to allow us to be able to do things that we love to do. It's great to be able to see individuals on this committee being passionate about building tree stewardship across our community. So it is a part of our ordinance to provide this report to you each year, but it's an honor to do so. So thank you very much. That's it.
Denise does a fabulous job being a staff liaison for this. I think that the Urban Forestry Board would attest to that. And it is like the best feeling in the world going to the intermediate school. Every year, those kids are so excited for you guys to be there. And so I'm looking forward to next Wednesday. So,
We are too.
yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you.
Oh, Dr. Lau.
I got something to add to Isabel.
Uh,
She's one of the initial board member making PAS possible.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Jeanette.
I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Any other public comment? Any comments on Zoom? No, or Teams? No? Okay, anything from anybody else up here? Before we adjourn, I'd just like to point out that this Saturday at 10 a.m. Wreaths Across America. Do not be deterred by the cold. If it is unseasonably cold, as it is every year, we are going to move inside the maintenance barn to do the brief presentation before we go out into the cemetery to place the wreaths.
Good.
This is a very important morning. So I encourage everyone to come out, brave the cold. It's very meaningful, and the more people that are there, the faster it will go, and none of us will get frostbite doing it. So if you're available Saturday morning, 10 a.m., somewhere around the maintenance barn, either outside or inside, I invite you all to attend. Our DAR chapter is amazing for putting this on. And if you have relatives in Anderson at Maplewood, you can also go up there and participate in their ceremony that follows ours. And there may be one other one in the county. I'm not 100% sure. But the Pendleton one at Grove Lawn is at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I know Jerry goes,
Very moving.
yeah, it's an important one.
Encourage everybody to do it, at least one.
Yeah, so otherwise, our next meeting is on December the 22nd at 4 p.m. And that's the last time you'll get to see us together during 2025. Otherwise, if there's not any other comments up here, I will adjourn at 6:47.